is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome to the Morgan Man Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Cole Morgan. Here on the Morgan Man Sports Podcast, we talk Atlanta Falcons news, pre-game predictions, and all other news surrounding the Atlanta Falcons.
Touchdown, Atlanta!
Also on the podcast, we talk Call of Duty League, esports, covering Roster Mania, major predictions, COD champs, player trades, and much more to get you ready for every single CDL weekend.
Scuff goes through, and Scuff snaps, wins the one-on-one in optic with the reverse sweep.
If that sounds good with you, put on your Falcons jersey, grab your gaming headset, and let's get this show started. What is going on, you guys? I'm your host, Stacy Cole Morgan, and you're listening to the Morgan Man Sports Podcast here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube, or on the bellyupsports.com page, where you can find all my articles right there, especially for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. And make sure you are checking out the Belly Up Sports highlight shows like Insert FC, No Credentials Required, just to name a few right there, ladies and gentlemen. Those are some great guys at the network right there, so definitely make sure to check them out. But on today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Call of Duty League wrapping the season up in the Atlanta Falcons 2025 schedule. So without any further delay, let's go to get straight into today's action. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the Atlanta Falcons side of things right here, ladies and gentlemen. For the preseason, the Atlanta Falcons, we will be hosting the Detroit Lions August 8th at 7 p.m. And we'll be hosting the Tennessee Titans as well on August 15th at 7 p.m. And then we'll be traveling to Dallas on August 22nd at 8 p.m. for our preseasons week 1 through 3. And then for week 1, we host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on September 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Definitely looking forward to that. The boy might be at that game. I'm not for sure just quite yet, but hey, who knows? We might make some things happen. Week 2, we got the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota for Sunday Night Football on September 14th. Week 3, we go to Carolina to face the Carolina Panthers on September 21st. Come back home on September 28th to face off against the Commanders at 1 p.m. Week 6, October 13th, we got the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football in Atlanta. So definitely, we do not have to go to Buffalo, New York, where it's starting to get cold around that time. So thank the Lord on that. And then quickly, we turn around under the lights yet again on Sunday Night Football, Week 7, October 19th, against the San Francisco 49ers, but it will be in the Bay Area. Week 8, you got the Miami Dolphins on October 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern. The New England Patriots on November 2nd at 1 p.m. in New England. And then week 10, you got the Indianapolis Colts on November 9th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern in Germany for the Atlanta Falcons and the Indianapolis Colts. So definitely looking forward to that one. The Falcons has definitely invested a lot of money into the foreign action for this team, and being recognized in Germany is a huge step. Looking forward to the Atlanta Falcons in the National Football League, so definitely I do like that. Week 11, you got the Carolina Panthers coming to Atlanta on November 16th at 1 p.m. The New Orleans Saints, we finally get to start facing them on week 12, November 23rd at 4:25 p.m. Eastern in New Orleans. The New York Jets, we face them week 13th on November 30th at 1 p.m. in MetLife Stadium in New York. Week 14, you got the Seattle Seahawks on December 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Week 15, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday Night Football, December 11th. Definitely looking forward to that matchup. Week 16, you got the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Atlanta Falcons in Glendale, Arizona at 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern for us on December 21st. Week 17th, December 29th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, you got the LA Rams coming to Atlanta for Monday Night Football. And then week 18 is always a to be discussed, and this will be against the New Orleans Saints. Depending on how the Saints and the Falcons are doing, I'm really just going to bet that this is going to be a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff for the Falcons and Saints. But if the Saints and Falcons are both really doing good, especially the Saints, because we know the Falcons are going to do tremendously well this season, this could be a 4 or 5 like America's Game of the Week, or it could potentially be a Sunday Night Football game. I'm not going to get my hopes up on it, but I would love to see it. Or a Thursday night game. That'd be amazing. So we'll have to wait and find out. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, this schedule looks pretty dang easy, in my opinion. I mean, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start off the season, Vikings, Carolina, Commanders. Right there, that's, in my opinion, an instant 4-0. 4-0 to start off the season. Buffalo Bills, it depends on which version of Josh Allen are you going to be getting on this pretty much start of October for the Atlanta Falcons and the Buffalo Bills. Like, are you going to get the version of Josh Allen that is early in the season still, throwing interceptions, not completing passes, or are you going to get the MVP Josh Allen, who is just decimating secondaries and just overall total defense? I think we are going to get the early weeks of Josh Allen around this time, but then again, it's Monday Night Football. All eyes are on these two teams in particular, and you got to come up with something if you're the Atlanta Falcons and Jeff Ulbrich on that defense, because Josh Allen, he's versatile. He's basically like a white Lamar Jackson, if you want to put it that way. You know, he's white Lamar Jackson. He's good on his feet. He throws very well, and he can tear up a defense just within a blink of an eye. So I am glad, though, that we are getting Josh Allen early into the season, and thank the Lord, as always, that we are getting Josh Allen and the Bills in Atlanta, not in Buffalo, New York. So I'm very happy on that. Miami Dolphins won't be able to use their unique advantage from Hard Rock Stadium with the sun beating down on the Atlanta Falcons sideline, and they're sitting in the shade, even though it's still late October down here in the South. That don't mean nothing. So, like I said, to start off the season, honestly, guys, I could see us realistically going 4-0. But for an overall record, I really sit here and say the Falcons could potentially, and I mean potentially, go 10-7, right in there. Maybe 9-8. I mean, it's one of the possibilities. But for sure, I think we do have a better roster than we did last year, hands down. And I think this could be the year the Falcons do win the NFC South for the first time since 2016. I know we said it last year, and we had the potential to do it last year, but the Falcons choked up on a lot of opportunities, both on offense and defense. But I feel like this year is a lot different. You got Michael Penix Jr., who is going to be a fresh starter. He's not coming in, 3 games into the late season, which he showed flashes. So definitely that's better than what we had with Desmond Ridder. But is that going to translate to on the field? Week 1 through week 18. Is that going to translate to that? That's the question I want to ask. Is Michael Penix Jr. going to be the difference maker that's been holding us back for a long time since the Matt Ryan days? Or is this just going to be another year where the Falcons are going to Falcon it up? It all comes down to week 1, September 7th. That's when it's going to start. And honestly, and I really use this term a lot, especially with my dad. But some, he likes the Falcons, but sometimes, he's like, them damn dirty birds, or, whatever like that. I'll say, look, week 1 and week 2 is extended preseason. Okay? Those are extended preseason games. You're really not going to know what this team is going to be until really about week 6, week 7, right in there. That's when you're really going to find out of, is this team really capable of winning games, or they're going to be capable of getting the first overall pick in that coming year's NFL draft. That's going to be the difference maker between week 6 and 7, is what your team is going to be made of. But your team is definitely going to be determined in those November games, because that is pretty much the tail end of the NFL regular season. I mean, yeah, you still got December to go, but November is that kind of like, all right, we got to really get our, together, or we're going to be in the top 10 of the draft, So something's got to happen. But overall, I like the schedule. Like I said, 10-7, right in there. I could see a potential Falcons NFC South victory. Would love to see the losses less and the wins more, like an 11-6 or 12-5. Would definitely love to see that. Potentially an undefeated season. That would be miraculous. And I mean miraculous. If we turn our seasons around and just of all of a sudden we go undefeated, that would be something. But I'm beyond dreaming right now. But a realistic approach, 9-8, 10-7, right in there, is how I see the Falcons based off the schedule. Not nothing that you see right now in training camp or OTAs, anything. Just looking at the schedule on paper. So guys, let me know, what do you think? Do you think the Falcons are capable of going 9-8 or 10-7? Or better or worse? Let me know on Twitter, or on the article page on bellyupsports.com, or on the YouTube comment section where you are listening to this right now on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your preferred podcasts. All right, guys, so we are switching gears on over to the Call of Duty League Toronto Ultra Championship Weekend 2025. So it's all come down to this, ladies and gentlemen. The LA Thieves has dethroned the Atlanta FaZe for the number 1 seed in the Call of Duty League for the first time in history of the CDL history right here. FaZe has been the number 1 seed ever since the inaugural season until now, and the LA Thieves has tremendously showed their worth and has won 2 majors, but so has Atlanta FaZe. But when you compare these teams together, FaZe can still keep up with LA Thieves. They just gotta get better at their respawns. But the major 1 and 2 was early meta for FaZe, and LA Thieves just didn't like that meta. But now the meta has changed. There's a lot more updates in the seasons, and FaZe just has not kept up with it, along with, not just being a good respawn team like they were at the beginning of the season. And the LA Thieves just took advantage of it, and they've won 2 majors. So only 2 teams with major wins is FaZe and Thieves. So honestly, I feel like it's going to come down to Thieves and FaZe for the grand prize of them all, the Call of Duty League World Championship. In June, which will be June 26th through 29th, starting that Thursday, going all the way to that Sunday. And you already got the winner's bracket right here. There's no loser's bracket because the only top 8 teams, will make it. So, of course, LA Thieves being number 1. Now, I'm just going off the winner's bracket right here. So, Thieves will take off against the Boston Breach. Instantly, that's going to be a 3-0 right there for Thieves. Vancouver Surge versus Miami Heretic. So, I like this matchup because both of these teams deserve to at least go, I'd say, at least elimination finals, maybe elimination round 3. That's how I'm putting this team at. Are these two teams, Surge and Heretics. But if I had to pick right now, I would pick the Miami Heretics. They've had a better season than Surge, despite CDL point differences. Surge has just came up short on a lot of situations, and Heretics is learning from their past mistakes, and I feel like, again, they can go to elimination round finals or losers round 3. That is like top tier for this team. And to still win some money, that's amazing. FaZe versus Optic, I don't think this is a discussion, but I'll still say it anyways. FaZe, a 3-1 best for over against Optic. Draza is the CEO of Optic. There's no defending it. But now I will say, now Optic has gave FaZe a challenge here recently. So if not a 3-1, definitely a 3-2 in favor of FaZe. But this will test FaZe's strength up against a Heretics, a Surge, a Thieves, Ultra, or Ravens. So I do like what I see in that situation right there, but still, I feel like it's just going to be a 3-1 in honor of FaZe over Optic. And then after that, you got Toronto Ultra taking on the Royal Ravens. So I like the Ultra in this one, 3-2. Ravens can put up a dang good fight, but I don't think it's just going to be enough, quite frankly, against the Toronto Ultra. And let's just go ahead and just pretend right here. We're only going to do winners rounds right here. So winners round 2, I have Thieves versus Heretics. Interesting matchup. I'm still taking Thieves, but in a 3-2. I think that Heretics can really push some boundaries over the LA Thieves, and this will help Atlanta FaZe exploit those weaknesses even more when they have them face off against each other in the winner's final. So Thieves over Heretics in that one in a 3-2, but it's very costly in each series. Then I have FaZe versus Ultra. I like FaZe over Ultra right here, but again in a 3-2. I think Ultra exposes a lot more weaknesses with the Atlanta FaZe. And then, of course, winners finals, LA Thieves taking on the Atlanta FaZe. Guys, I'm going to be quite frankly honest right here. I do think it's going to be LA Thieves winning in the winners finals. Okay? In a 3-2. I think FaZe is kind of banking on a lot more situations than what they need to be on right now. They need to regroup, start going into elimination like round 3, elimination finals, start tearing up the competition. Start tearing up the competition right there and really decimate them. And then when you meet the LA Thieves in the grand finals for the Call of Duty League World Championship, I think you win it. If you're Atlanta FaZe, you finally have came back and made LA Thieves bow down to their knees to the Atlanta FaZe. That's how I'm seeing this. Honestly, score prediction 4-0. 4-0 right in there. Unless they do a best 2 series, whatever it is. Forget the name right off the top of my head. But I don't think that they're going to do that. I think it's just a best 7. 4-0. 4-0 for the Atlanta FaZe squad to win the Call of Duty League World Championship since Black Ops Cold War. I feel like FaZe is going to do it this year. I feel like they're going to do it. This is it. What they have been through right now, this entire season, has been like what it was back in the Cold War season. They won two or three majors, fell off a few series, didn't win I believe it was the major 3, major 4 right in there. Because at that time they had 5 majors. And FaZe only won 3 of them. this season, it is no different. This team is reminiscent of that 2020, 2021 Black Ops Cold War season. They fell off. They had some high moments, and then coming to COD Champs, boom, just obliterated the scene. I'm talking about it wasn't even 3-1s. It was quick 3-0s for Atlanta FaZe. And then I think they had like a 4-1 against the Toronto Ultra that Cold War season for COD Champs. But still, it was quick. It was dominant. And I feel like this FaZe team is reminiscent of that for the Black Ops Cold War season in this Black Ops 6 season right here. So, of course, I've already gave away my predictions of who I think is going to win COD Champs. Of course, runner-up would be LA Thieves. Third place, I'll give it to Toronto Ultra. Fourth, I give it to Optic. So that's my top 4 out of the entire season. And of course, after that, we have a very long off season. If you don't count, the Esports World Cup, which I will be hosting a live stream on that the Sunday before the tournament. And that does remind me, ladies and gentlemen, in June, on the 21st, that Sunday, I will be hosting a live stream. Will have to get with the guys at the Belly Up Sports Network to start planning out the show. But yes, that June 21st, I will announce the time at a later date here within a couple weeks. Probably the week before, honestly, so it'd be somewhere between that June 9th and the 13th is when I will have an official date. Or time, excuse me. But I do know I'm wanting to host that live stream on the 21st, that Sunday, because during the week is not going to be a good option for me because of work obligations and everything. So I do know that. And then, of course, in July, right in August, right in there when the Esports World Cup is going on, that Sunday before, I will be hosting the live stream then, talking about more specifically the Call of Duty League side of things, rather than CSGO or LOL, whatever. It's just going to be the Call of Duty League side of things for EWC. But guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to like button here on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribing to Belly Up Sports on YouTube as well. Not only am I on there, but you got some other talented podcasters. Again, like no credentials required or insert FC. Shout out to Hector. Talented guys. Love them. Listen to their shows a lot. Great informative podcast. Some comedy mix in there a little bit. So definitely it is worth listening to, guys, along with the Morning Man Sports podcast here, where you find your Atlanta Falcons and Call of Duty League news each and every single Friday. But guys, hope you all enjoyed, and I, Stacy Morgan, will catch you all later. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.